What's up, everybody? It's your boy Iceman. We're back again with another reaction, y'all. Ignore the little free thing here, all right? We won't have the free thing floating here for long. I'm just now using. I'm new to this. I'm new to this the VTube stuff. All right. Anyway, we are using this for reactions and stuff now. We won't always use this, of course. I'll still react to stuff with my own face, but this is just to help us get more content out. You know what I'm saying? It's quick, it's convenient, and I like the model. I mess with VTubers, y'all. I watch a bunch of VTubers. I like VTubers. I think it's nice to see people's personality shine through these. Anyway, we got most disturbing crimes that happen in FNAF community. Yeah, this video is by Yapmaster. All right, y'all go and check him out. I don't know why I'm not subscribed. I should be. Anyway, subscribe, and we're gonna hit hit that right there. Anyway, Yapmaster, y'all go and check him out. He cool and all. So yeah, let's get into this video.
These are some of the most disturbing crimes that happen in the Five Nights at Freddy's community, and as the list goes on, the cases will only keep getting worse. It's April 19th, 2022, the final book in the official Five Nights at Freddy's short story collection, Face Bear Frights number 12.
Hold on. How many of y'all done seen the new movie? Let me know in the comments if y'all liked it. Don't spoil it for me. Don't spoil it for me. But let me know in the comments if y'all liked it or not. All right. I need to know if it's good, but don't spoil it for me.
Through the book's 3 stories, they begin noticing a strange pattern. Each story follows a character searching for something, only for that search to backfire, showing how curiosity can quickly turn into trust.
I also read the Fazbear Frights books up until I think the one with the shark, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Video called Five Nights at Freddy Has Stumped Me Again. He focuses on what he sees in Felix the Shark, suggesting it points to a scrapped Five Nights at Freddy's ARG.
Maybe FNAF was seeding out clues for something similar.
We gotta bring back the game theories on FNAF, don't we? Yeah, we never did finish watching all of them. There is a series on this channel where we started watching them. Gotta go back to doing that.
Or alternate reality game is an interactive story using the real world, with clues hidden in actual locations for people to find. And because much of Five Nights at Freddy's lore is connected to Utah, and the story The Scoop follows someone searching around for answers, he points to Utah as a likely place for fans to investigate, and asks them to share what they discover on the Game Theory subreddit.
It seems like something's here, but if it is, I can't figure it out on my own. Maybe you're a theorist from
I actually didn't make it to that last one. Now to think about it, that's the last one. I made it to whichever one they had like the little FNAF bubble guppy, not bubble guppies.
Head on over to the Game Theorist subreddit to.
Y'all know what I'm talking about. Not FNAF bubble guppies, but it was like FNAF little FNAF catfish shark things inside. Yeah, for those of you who read the books, y'all know what I'm talking about. But that's the one I got.
Post your finding.
Soon after MadPat's video, fans would start posting leads and comparing notes, and the search would move from online discussions to real-world locations. Some would start calling businesses in Utah, and others would drive out to places they thought might be connected, and a few even considered breaking into private residences, turning what starts as online curiosity into harassment for the people on the receiving end. And in early June 2020, a worker at a small diner in Utah would post.
I'm so tired of seeing this ad for this thing, bro.
What?
On the Game Theory subreddit saying, I work in a small diner in southern Utah, and we got 17 calls over my shift asking if we were Fazbears. Come on y'all, it's common sense. Don't be harassing people over something that may not even be real. The situation got so severe that the diner had to shut down the main phone line for the rest of the night, just to complete their shift.
Some people actually called the actual places of businesses in the towns that were referenced in the book. According to our subreddit, one place of business actually received enough annoying phone calls that they actually had to shut off their phones.
Now, while the thread remained active, some fans insisted that the post was part of the ARG, as others complained that the fun was being ruined. The initial employee tried to respond, but the constant back and forth became so overwhelming, leading them to eventually delete their Reddit account completely. In the days to follow, another user would ask the community to stop as well, noting that other locations were being affected, including a water park that once had a shark as a mascot, which some fans linked to Felix the Shark. The search would escalate even more when somebody decided to upload a photo.
Y'all doing way too much. y'all doing way too much in this community if this is what's going on for real.
Photo of a man's grave from 1987, suggesting to dig it up for clues, which of course is extremely illegal. And that is when most
No
people would
way!
finally start stepping back, realizing just how far the search had gone. On June 9th, 2022, MadPat would then upload a response video, calling the whole thing
I remember
a
seeing
wild
this
goose
video.
chase, and telling the viewers to stop participating.
I never wanted or intended anyone
That
to
little free
bother
thing
real
flying around is
people.
bugging
It's
me,
never ever acceptable to harass
bugging
an
me.
individual or
Y'all
a
hit the
piece of
like
business.
button
And as a result,
and show this
the
to your
search would lose
friends
its
so we can get rid of this thing floating around here. Yeah.
momentum. Even then, the
We gonna
consequences
get rid
were
of it
already
anyway,
clear, since
but
the
still,
hunt pulled
I
real
just
people
feel
into
like-
something
just
they
feel like
never
it'd be
asked
easier
to be
to
a
do
part
so.
of. But unlike MadPat, however, this next person was directly tied to the series itself and became infamous for her actions within the community.
She also participated in really vulgar Nazi/uniform groups
Whoa.
on DeviantArt.
In early 2020, a notable artist named Lady Feshy, who had previously been hired by Scott Cawthon, the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, to work on the franchise, would start posting a series of controversial comments on Reddit. The discussion centered around a
y'all
Five
get-
Nights at Freddy
see,
character
Y'all get a little freedom and just go wild with
named
it.
Mangle, who's gender fluid. And in these comments, she would say,
She will always be a pretty girl for me, not this nonsense.
in another comment, she would add,
Millennials can be triggered by anything. Why can't I be triggered when someone is calling themselves something confusing and non-existent?
and she would follow up with,
I wish back the times when a joke, what gender is your baby? It will decide when it will be old enough, was just a joke and not reality.
For someone directly connected to the franchise, these statements instantly faced a lot of criticism. She dismissed
Yeah.
people's genders as nonsense, accusing them of making them up just to feel unique, and calling others easy to trigger.
See,
Now, as it
here's
was-
my thing. Here's my thing. If you are making up genders to make yourself, if that is your motivation behind making up a gender or being a different gender or whatever it is, if that is your motivation, then let that be your motivation. Like, it doesn't matter what people want. It doesn't matter why people want to identify themselves as whatever they want to identify themselves as. Let people be them. Like, let people be free. Just do what you do. Live your life. If it's not bothering you for real, or if it doesn't directly impact you, then just keep living your life the way you want to live your life. Live your life the way you want to live it, and they're going to live their life the way that they want to live it. You might not agree with it. You might not even like it. But it's not up to you to let you. You're not God. You're not God. So you don't get to pass judgment on these people.
result, Reddit would ban her from the platform, making it clear that her comments crossed the line. And over the next couple of months, users would repeatedly call out Feshy for her past comments. And because of her high profile in the Five Nights at Freddy's community, moderators would even personally reach out, asking her to address the situation. And eventually, she actually decided to respond publicly. On September 28, 2020, Feshy published an apology post. She opens up by saying she doesn't really want to apologize for what she said, but acknowledges that her words hurt innocent people. She then goes on to admit that her comments about gender identities and trans people were ignorant and uneducated. And she then explains that the cultural differences played a role, noting that trans people aren't common in her home country, Hungary. Feshy also claims that she's been harassed.
I understand what she's saying to a certain degree. At the same time, you're only sorry because you got backlash for it. She wouldn't have made this apology if people wouldn't have reached out and asked her to do so. So, like, y'all gotta always remember that the apology, it needs to be just as loud as the disrespect was. Y'all gotta always remember that. Like, I said that same thing with the whole Miss Netta situation that went on this channel. My mom, my brother's mom, actually came to me and she's like, make sure that apology is as loud as the disrespect. And the apology was not as loud as the disrespect. So we went on and decided to go ahead and squash things and let things be what they were. And I got a lot of backlash for doing that because I didn't want the drama pertaining to Miss Netta to be what my channel was. Because a lot of people that was subscribing and liking videos and coming over here, like, it was for the drama. And we're not here for drama. We don't do drama over here on this channel. If we did, we air out a whole lot of drama right now going on with another certain content creator that I used to collab. Well, I didn't used to collab with him, but I'm on every video on his channel. But that's not here nor there. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about, I feel like a lot of the dramatic stuff that comes with being a content creator is stuff that needs to be left alone. Like, you just need to leave it alone and just call it a day, because it's not worth the time that it takes to give that energy out to somebody else. And even if you're not a content creator and you're just going through something with other people, man, just squash it. If you can't squash it, just ignore them. Let them be childish by themselves, because it ain't gonna do nothing in the end but drag you down. I know that is distracting. I gotta get rid of that. I'm gonna get rid of that by next month. I promise y'all.
And provoked online to say more transphobic things, pointing to the abusive responses she received and emphasizing that this kind of treatment needed to stop. However, things would begin to take a more disturbing turn because of what she said next. But before going into that, I want to thank the sponsor of this video for making this possible, FreeCash. It might sound unrealistic, but FreeCash is probably
Get your money,
a couple
bro.
of days for past purple guy. Pretty much just back to the video. After saying she regretted all of her past comments, she also mentions that she had received life-threatening messages over a fanfiction she wrote many years ago. The story, now deleted, was her own take on the Five Nights at Freddy universe, involving missing children and her version of the game's killer, William Afton, often referred to as Purple Guy, who she named Barney Miles. Her work sparked controversy because of how Barney and the scenes were written. The most infamous example appears in her fanfiction with Betty, the story's main character. In this scene, her death is described in grotesque detail, depicting Barney taking pleasure in harming her and other in extremely obscene ways. In response to the backlash, Fishy says,
I admit, I got really carried away to show how twisted my version of the Purple Guy is. It had some explicit undertones, but no actual scenes where Purple Guy hurts a It still wasn't appropriate since many fans are young. It would be very different if I write it today.
This still wouldn't be the end though, as more of her dark past would come to light. On January 22nd, 2023, a user named IronAiden07 would post images on Twitter, revealing that Fishy had participated in anti-Semitic groups. The post includes screenshots and commentaries saying,
She's drawn pictures of Nazis and is part of groups on DeviantArt. She did
Whoa.
a second drawing of these characters.
The post would quickly catch a lot of attention, with some users reacting in disbelief. One would write,
Why do people idolize that garbage?
while another writes,
There's a
within hours, these posts would spread across Twitter, and the
That's what I'm saying. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know that was a. That's
the
wild.
Freddy fan communities, with thousands of
We
people
getting
seeing.
educated today,
And so a
Jack.
month after that, Fishy would make a
We getting
DeviantArt
educated.
post addressing more allegations against her. She starts by acknowledging that she got permanently banned because of the recent posts linking her to these groups, responding,
Yes, I joined these groups. That's very true. That was 15 plus years ago, when I was 18 to 20 years old, and just discovered anime.
You were old enough to know better,
Hellsing
dog.
was one of the few mangas available in my language. I was super edgy back then and looked up everything with that design. Dark uniforms, blood, evil characters. I loved it. It took me years to realize these aren't edgy, but I totally forgot about the groups I joined. I was lazy to look up the groups I'm not active in anymore.
she would then address the accusations of being a clarifying that these claims were because of her fanfictions about a man she describes as a serial killer. Fishy would explain that at the time she was still edgy, and her intent in creating Barney's sadistic personality was purely fictional, saying,
But so you know, murderer men do feel power and when they kill, and they love it. That's why they do it. Some clearly can't differentiate fiction from reality.
She also addressed accusations of being a transphobe, which she admitted were true. Looking back, she explains that at the time she was at one of the lowest points of her life, both mentally and physically, having lived with Crohn's disease for 17 years, and adds,
Oh, I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. Excuses. Wrong is wrong. Right is right. Wrong is wrong. She knew better. She was older, 18 to 20. You were old enough to know better. You knew that junk wasn't edgy, and you knew exactly the type of impact it would have on you. You just didn't expect to get as far as you did in your career at that particular set of time. You didn't think you would have no repercussions from it. But you surprise, internet is forever. It's there.
said when she's depressed, she tends to get angry and hostile, which caused problems with her family as well. Now around this time, more people start noticing things Fishy did in the past, including that in 2016, she traced several pieces of art created by other artists, with people from the community calling her out because of this. And she would publicly admit it, posting,
Okay, since Kryptonite Dark Knight was really forcing this, I admit, I traced this image. It's not original.
But even after all of this, more stuff would come out about her. On February 23rd, 2023, a Twitter user named FrebO would post several screenshots of interactions between her and Fishy on DeviantArt from 2016.
Here's an ableism plus transphobia double whammy. I could go on for longer about how she encouraged me, a very obvious year-old, to keep reading her fanfics, but unfortunately most of the comments from that got nuked.
Later
that is wild. Internet is forever.
Same day, FrepO would post again, this time sharing a private message from Feshi. The screenshot shows an unknown person relaying a message from a fan, asking if they could write a fanfic based on her work, begging her to not go along with it. And Feshi would brush it off by saying,
torturing Ben and kidnapping and hurting Betty. Well, if the writing is good, I would read it.
With her name now completely out in the open, more and more people beginning to scrutinize her, and 2 days after the incident, she would address the screenshots. She admits that she did have those conversations with FrepO, but insists that FrepO actually brought it up first. With no way to confirm her claim, she ends up saying that
is wild, bro. And you got to think about it. After you get caught with this stuff, it's like the double back. The double back is always crazy. The double back is always insane. And then it's like, why'd you put yourself into these positions in the first place? Like, why would you put yourself into these situations in the first place? And at that particular time, remind you, this lady admitted that she was 18 to 20 years old. That means you knew what was going on. You knew what was going on. Like, it ain't no I'm sorry, or I was negligent. I didn't know what was going on for real. I didn't know. No, you knew.
although the story was initially marked as mature and age restricted, she removed it for greed and likes, calling it a big mistake. And even Scott himself would eventually make a statement on Reddit saying,
"Hey everyone, I
What Scott had to say.
won't write much about this here, but I will say that Lady Fizzy no longer does artwork for Five Nights at Freddy's. Scenarios involving are disgusting and gross in any form, including fan art and fan fiction, and have no place in the Five Nights at Freddy's universe. It is my understanding that she regrets this time in her life, and I wish her best going forward."
That's crazy.
This next person, however, was another well-known figure in the community and was exposed for things that would completely destroy his reputation.
Criminal.
Squimpus McGrimpus was a YouTuber with over 350,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel. Their best known
Off 26 videos, bro? Oh,
being
you
a
made
pioneer
it for
in the
real.
Five Nights at Freddy's VHS genre, a style of fan-made analog horror videos based on the game series. Because of this, they became widely credited for their unique and intriguing videotapes online. Things would dramatically change on March 31st, 2020 though, when
Wait, that's who made those?
year old named Blue got into a conversation with Squimpus on Discord. At first, it was clear that Squimpus already knew Blue's age, as they asked how old they currently were, and with Squimpus being at the time, it could be argued that both of them were and that nothing wrong could happen. However, Squimpus would not only send Blue NSFW artwork, but would continue doing so for 2 years after they first met. By then,
Wow.
he already turned 20, while Blue was still only. Not only this, but a different user, who we'll talk about later on, would also confirm that Squimpus was already in several adult-oriented groups, but despite that, they would still exchange this kind of content with Blue, instead of using legal and consenting spaces. And soon enough, Squimpus themselves would confess all of their actions in a friend's private server, saying,
When I was 16, I talked to Blue, who was about stuff, as in we both had interest in it. This was, and I'm not gonna beat around the bush with them. I entertained the idea of, if it's not sexual, then it's okay, for a very long time. I didn't realize how much hurt I was doing, not that I do. All I can say is that I'm willing to own up to my mistakes, in any way that I can. I did something really terrible, and it's more clear than it's ever been. Just know that I'm actively working to stop myself with these sort of things. Feel free to distance yourself from me until you're comfortable.
shortly after, a statement
He's taking responsibility, but at the same time, he's like kind of brushing it under the rug. Like, yeah, I did this. It's bad. Forgive me for doing it, but you know, I'm not a bad person no more. The person was 2 years younger than them, though, right? Am I tripping? Did I read that? No, he said he was 6. You can't even say the. You can't even say the age of the. You can't even say the age. Like that just dawned on me. That's crazy. You can't even say the age of people involved in this because of sensitivity.
from Blue themselves, going into more detail about the situation, started circling online. They wrote,
Hello, I'm the one referred to as Blue. I was a fan of Squimp, being in her fan server for quite a while. While she initially approached me complimenting my work, things very quickly went and I eventually got uncomfortable, as she was well aware I was and continued. I was awestruck because she was an idol, and then scared to say anything because she was popular.
All of this would finally be exposed to the world on March 18th, 2023, when a Twitter user by the name of
Hey,
Bernard
2023 was a year for exposing, motherfucker. Hey, 2023 is a year for exposing people.
account posting a thread against all of the screenshots against Squimples, as well as blue statements about the situation. Now, as soon as this post gained attention, Squimples made another response on the same day, apologizing for their actions and confirming that all of what Bernard had posted about them was entirely true. They ended the tweet by saying that they were the only one truly in the wrong, and that they were going to leave and take months or years before returning to the internet. With Squimples being gone from the internet and their last video being over 4
They
years
got
old,
views. They got views.
it doesn't
views.
seem like she's coming back anytime soon. This next one though involves another popular creator whose actions would go on to be one of the darkest scandals in the community.
This apparently included Jody trying to convince a to commit, as well as talking about their
What? No way!
2nd, 2025, a user by the name of The Tickler posted a public letter on Twitter regarding a well-known trans Five Nights at Freddy's YouTuber named GoMotion, otherwise known as Jody. This wasn't any ordinary letter, however, as it went into detail about Jody's years of questionably disturbing behavior towards them. It all starts on March 19th of 2020, when Tickler, who's at the time, receives a Discord message from an 18-year-old Jody asking about their fan game team that they have, and if she can be a part of it. After a few days of chatting, Tickler would eventually join a server with Jody and start interacting with her through voice channels, which unfortunately would be the first of many. Their usual conversations start with Jody dumping her emotional problems on him, with Tickler consoling her during those moments. One example of this was when she opened up about her history of self-harm.
Also, I sort of used to self kinda a lot. I was so depressed.
So this person opened up to you about self-harm. Is this the same person that they tried to? If this is the same person that they tried to convince to do this to themselves, bro, they
Didn't know
deserve
what else to
under
do.
the jail,
and
bro.
like you get a legitimate high for it. I still don't
It
hate the
don't
idea
even
of
matter.
doing it. Not
If it's
that
the
I
same
would, of
person or not,
course,
you still
but it
deserve
relaxed
under
me
the
so
jail.
much. Don't ever do it again, please. It felt really good. I'm not gonna lie. I promise I won't do it for you.
But even then, Jody would confess even more disturbing things.
I did bad things, mostly when I was into. I was rude to people. Other
Oh,
channels
Jody is the one in
edits
question?
drove one kid to attempt to leave this earth. I don't talk to him anymore. I abuse people. I was generally just
I drove one kid to attempt to. Oh, wow. Wow.
kind of a dick to everyone. Jesus.
Wow.
Well, I wasn't the best person either, so I guess that's like the past now. Gotta focus on like now.
After this, Tickler would explain that Jody elaborated on the situation in a voice chat. She told them she had instructed this person to turn on his camera so she could watch while he attempted to leave this earth. From that point on, the way they
Oh my, bro, you're sick. People are sick.
interacted began to change, with Jody's fixation on Tickler quickly turning into obsession. Just a week after they first met, she would constantly burden Tickler with her struggles over wanting to be a certain gender.
I just wish I was a cis girl. I understand how upsetting that could be. Hopefully, eventually it's possible. I really want you to be able to have that. You deserve that. I just want to so bad. I just want to be happy. My stupid especially right now. It's uncomfortable as hell. I just want it gone.
Now several days would pass, and Jody would begin revealing yet another side of herself to Tickler, describing herself as having body dysfunction.
You know what? Even though this person is despicable and deplorable, the kudos to Yapster, bro, for still having respect for this person's gender, even though they don't deserve the respect that he's given. Kudos to him. Bro.
In a few instances, she would talk about crying as she was jealous of Tickler's voice and would say that they're lucky to be born in the right body. Tickler was undeniably off-put by this and would even apologize even when she hadn't done anything wrong. But not only that, Jody even went as far as stalking Tickler's boyfriend, who we'll call John, out of jealousy towards the two of them, saying that she wants something like that for herself.
Looked at John's DeviantArt again. Heh. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, this isn't your fault. Why do you look at it if it just upsets you? How did you even find it? I don't know. I have a jealousy problem. I just wish I was you so much.
And this kind of behavior would continue.
Looking at John's Twitter, smiley face, I'm just trying to focus on my breathing right now. I'm trying to push the pain out. I'm specifically jealous of you and your boyfriend. I just really
Look at this instead. Wait. I'm excited. That could be about something FNAF related. Like, it could be about something, whatever they bond over, whatever they, you know, it could be about something. Dude, there's no way y'all make it to fame on YouTube and crash out like this.
something like that
There's no way
myself.
y'all do that,
Over
bro.
the following months, Jodie's messages about wishing to be a woman would continue. But apart from that, in late 2020, two statements from anonymous users we'll call Grigory and Quan, who also know Tickler, surfaced from the internet, revealing the terrible things they went through with Jodie herself.
Although my messages with Go Motion were rather brief, some things stick out to me. She would usually call me slurs when I had noted that they made me uncomfortable in the past, and would raise her voice in voice calls at me at times. She would dump some pretty heavy stuff on me without much warning, but nothing is as weird as she'd confess to me regarding Tickler that she would herself to art made by them, imagining herself as them or characters drawn by them and their art. There were often times in voice calls where she made me feel lesser, insulting me and berating me, even when I was trying to have a genuine conversation. The breaking point for me was a friend telling me Jodie saw Tickler interacting with a trans woman, whom she took what the trans woman was saying to Tickler as flirtatious, and began talking her, saying things as vile as she doesn't even pass. With that happening, as well as her total transphobic rants on Twitter, I knew things weren't going to change.
It turns out Jodie has been doing these things for a while, including using Tickler's artwork in inappropriate ways and keeping it a secret from her for years, which Jodie decided to admit to Tickler in March of 2020. What Tickler learned far too late though was that Jodie would fantasize about being Tickler in intimate ways. In a conversation between her and an unknown person, she would admit that
I told her about the drawings she made and how I'd have time to myself and look at them and
Do we not use the space button? Or, you know, never mind. I'm here being a grammar police, and I shouldn't be doing that.
stuff, and imagine myself looking like that, and she's having a tough time processing that, but she only knows about the drawing. She doesn't know how I imagine myself as her, or that I imagine myself as anybody else.
But that wasn't the end of it either. On the very same day, Jodie admitted this.
Y'all gotta be happy with who you are, bro. God made you who you are, the way that you are, for a reason. You know, and even if you feel like God made a mistake, and God doesn't make mistakes, all right? And I know a lot of y'all might not believe in that, or y'all might not believe in, but I'm just saying, you are perfect the way that you are. You do not have to change for nobody, or to fit nobody's societal. No, you don't need to do that. You don't have to do that. You are awesome. You are enough. No matter what you look like, who you are. Hey, don't let this VTuber model fool y'all. Now, I ain't no ugly dude. Might be a little hefty, but I ain't no ugly dude, and you can see that on my page. Anyway, I just feel like y'all should know that you are everything. You are everything in your world. You are everything, the center of attention, right? So y'all gotta come on. Y'all gotta do better with that, man.
To Tickler, she suddenly began bringing up the idea of visiting during the summer, in real life. For Tickler, the conversation was deeply unsettling, and even though Jodie treated it casually, Tickler felt conflicted by how sudden the suggestion was. But as Tickler assumed that Jodie seemed sorry for the things she'd done, Tickler simply couldn't deny her visit in the end. As soon as Jodie arrived at their house in June of 2022, Jodie's actions would only get more terrifying over time. The first couple of days seemed normal, but the day that they went on a hike at a local park, Jodie started complaining that her legs hurt and that it was all the walking she was doing. But later that afternoon, after they had gotten home and Tickler's mom was out of the house, Jodie admitted that it was all a lie. Jodie revealed that the reason her legs hurt is because of her constantly stretching and flexing them to redirect blood, trying to distract herself from feeling while being close to Tickler. And immediately after saying that, Jodie would take Tickler's hand and slowly guide it under her blanket. Now surprisingly, Tickler would actually lean in and kiss her, which in hindsight was, according to her, the biggest mistake of their life, as she felt that Jodie's manipulation had pressured her to do all these things. Now throughout the following months, their relationship would only keep getting worse. Jodie would become deeply obsessed.
Why would you let your child have this company over that is clearly older? Twice. I think he said twice is old. Like, that's clearly older and shouldn't be. Like, why would you leave them in your house? Absolutely not. No. Like, why would you leave them in your house? Why would you do that? Why would you? Why, come on, mom. Come on, mom. Why would you do that? That is so crazy. That is so insane. You know, and I mean, who am I to judge anybody's position, predicament? They probably trusted this person. Like they couldn't have trusted this person because you couldn't have known the relationship, the way that this relationship even started. So, and I could be totally wrong. If they snuck Jody in, then that's a different thing. That's still not being aware of what's going on, bro. Your kids are, man.
Obsessed with demanding Tickler's attention every day, growing jealous and aggressive whenever they try to spend time with their friends, which in turn caused Tickler to lose the people they cared about. She would even admit to even more horrifying things in one of their chats, saying,
I hate my dad. I'm upset about how I'll never be accepted as trans by my family. I want to kill them all.
Now right after this, Jody would continue to harass Tickler's friends from her Discord server, even after promising she would stop. Now seeing her as someone who would never change, Tickler eventually reached a breaking point. So in December of 2024, Tickler decided to stop communicating with Jody altogether. But Jody would refuse that, and her behavior would grow even more unstable because of that.
Hold on, wait, what did that say?
And her behavior would grow even more.
To kill them all.
Now right after this, Jody would continue to harass Tickler's friends from her Discord server, even after promising she would stop. Now seeing her as someone who would never change, Tickler eventually reached a breaking point.
I'm really worried that if we ever had to break up, that you wouldn't be able to ever recover from it and you do something rash. I'm also worried that, like, I'm worried I jumped into a relationship way too fast. Like the same day that I left John. I really love you still. When I try to imagine not having you around, I can't. Ooh.
So in December of 2024, Tickler decided to stop communicating with Jody altogether, but Jody would refuse that, and her behavior would grow even more unstable because of that. She would keep spamming Tickler with messages, despite being told that they want space, and would even stalk Tickler across multiple social media accounts, and even publicly threaten to hurt themselves over the situation.
Hold on, this is
now
wait a
months
minute.
would pass.
I need a second, bro.
With Tickler no longer being in contact with Jody, and things would finally start to quiet down until May 21st, 2025, when Tickler would discover that Jody had been making hateful statements and extremely transphobic posts on Twitter, saying,
That's
let's
crazy.
become a statistic together. No longer wanting to tolerate her actions, Tickler would finally decide to gather all of this as proof of Jody's actions and expose her in front of the entire internet. through a
Hero.
document. However,
Yeah, Tickler, hero. W Tickler, bro. Stand up, bro. Stand up for people that do this shit, bro. W Tickler. For real. W Tickler.
this isn't the end, because 4 days later, after the expose got posted, Jody would upload her own response document detailing her side of the situation. In it, she denies having taken advantage of Tickler or manipulating them, immediately using her mental health issues as justification for her actions.
Oh
She
my
also admits
Lord.
to being obsessive, but immediately blames dad on her OCD. And she would also argue against Tickler's claim that she told a kid to turn on his camera so she could watch while he tried to leave this earth. She says he
They're screenshots.
simply wanted to call on Skype and didn't explicitly say that anything was wrong. She adds that this situation happened because they were both causing each other issues in a Minecraft server, and she had no idea that this would result in him trying to hurt himself in front of her. Now Jody would also talk about how she used to fantasize by pretending to be the opposite gender, which she specifically did to Tickler, saying,
A few months after T had turned while I was 18, I did things to myself as them. Similarly, I felt euphoric imagining myself as female. There were no ulterior motives to this.
and she would end her document with an apology to Tickler, saying,
T, if you're reading this, I'm so horribly sorry for how I ruined it.
To this day, even with all of the backlash and constant hate towards Jody, she still continues uploading videos on YouTube. Tickler, on the other hand, and many other people who were affected have now
It's important to call law tigers before your insurance company so
just started to get out of this long-standing nightmare. But this wasn't the case for the next individual, who became notorious for a lot of disturbing allegations against him.
It claims that Blackout has fantasies involving physical abuse to the point of bodily harm, murder, and having with dead bodies.
It's
It
February
gets worse?
26, 2018. A German game developer named Nishi, also known as Blackout 1912, together with his team, releases a Five Nights at Freddy's inspired horror game called Dormitabus. The game is heavily inspired by the original Five Nights at Freddy's universe, but became infamous for its own story, focusing on a girl named Maria, originally based on Chica, one of the main animatronic characters from Five Nights at Freddy's. In this version, she suffers a brutal death at the hands of Garvey Wright, a character designed to parallel the franchise's antagonist, William Afton. Almost immediately, the game gets recognized by most people in the community, even getting playthroughs from popular YouTubers such as Markiplier and Dako, making it undoubtedly one of the most popular Five Nights at Freddy's fan games of 2018. However, over the following months, many began to notice how disturbing the game truly was, even for a horror game. Its popularity gradually decreased due to criticism of its gameplay, story, and voice acting. But just 2 years later, it all went downhill because of one man. On November 12, 2020, a well-known game developer within the community who requested their real name not to be mentioned and who we'll call Andre, uploads a video exposing Nishi for having done deeply horrible things to multiple users online. It all goes back to 2016 when Andre meets Nishi and becomes friends with him. And although things seem fine at first, their friendship begins to fall apart due to one factor. Nishi at the time is known for being incredibly rude to every person he essentially talks to. And with this in mind, it doesn't take long before Andre starts witnessing how Nishi has been harassing people in the Five Nights at Freddy's community.
Nishi at the time was known for being a very, mean person. He was very critical of the fan game community, and he would attack people like King Carter, Sama Gamma, if anyone remembers that, Adam HD, and all that.
Which leads to Andre cutting things off with Nishi completely. He makes it clear that he doesn't want to be associated with someone who's verbally assaulting people he doesn't like, seeing that Nishi has grown even worse.
Eventually, it got to the point where I ended up cutting my association off with him. He was becoming a very bad person. I just didn't want to be involved.
And he surprisingly doesn't take it well. He begins harassing Andre in various ways. And with the people affected by his actions, a decision is made to post a video exposing him 2 years later.
This led to him harassing me. It started a whole rivalry between us. He would send his friends after me. He would comment on my game jolt. He would do all sorts of things. Eventually, this experience, along with many other people's experiences, led to an exposed video on him back in like 2018.
The video posted in 2018 covers dozens of allegations, including multiple instances of Nishi's abusive and disturbing behavior. These claims detail him having depraved obsessions, taking pleasure in the idea of physical abuse, manipulating people, cheating on his partner, and using others for inappropriate activities. With this amount of information against him now entirely available online, Nishi vanishes from the public community.
This led to Nishi leaving the FNAF community and basically going under the radar. And it worsened our relationship too.
And unfortunately, the video somehow disappears from the internet as well. But even after the leak, Nishi wouldn't stop going after Andre. The harassment continued, and he eventually even began stalking him, blaming only him for making the video. On a random day in the same year though, Andre would be added to a group chat out of nowhere.
This kind of feel like one of those situations that could get violent. We don't want that.
And he would discover that the group consists of girls who had indecent interactions with Nishi. It's also at this exact time that Andre starts to finally connect that these girls are the ones mentioned in the expose, all of whom Nishi allegedly used for engaging in adult activities online. Out of all of these people though, there's one that—
You people are deviants, bro. Like, golly. Why? Like, is all life for you just online life? Is that it? Is that all? Is that all you got? Online life? Brother, it's more out there. It's way more.
really stands out to Andre, which he disturbingly refers to as the year-old.
Out of all these people, there was one that really stood out to me. It was the person who I'll just refer to as the year-old.
He explains that to his understanding, Nishi somehow got into contact with this person, which led to multiple illegal acts involving somebody not of age. He also discovers that Nishi sent an inappropriate photo of his behind to several people inside this group chat, specifically targeting the year-old. Shortly after revealing this piece of information online, a number of people would refuse to believe these claims, one of them being a user named Honko, who begins publicly defending Nishi and accuses Andre of fabricating everything. And this sparks a whole new thing. Andre would point out that Honko has been harassing him for years too, going back as far as 2017, which makes it hard to take his statements as anything more than a personal grudge. Now, by the time these allegations surfaced, Nishi already left the internet, leaving one final.
Oh my god, here we go. Oh, that's a big hit. Bro, that's a sick card. I don't even have this. Chat, that is
final message on.
See him pulling out and hiding, bro. That's like, hey, that's like you're guilty, bro.
On his GameJolt account, saying,
it says, Jesus Christ, just leave me be. I don't want to live in your heads rent free. I've moved on, and you should as well. Bye.
Jesus Christ, just leave me be. I don't want to live in your heads rent free. I've moved on, and you should as well. Bye.
After this message, no further updates about Nishi emerged online. And although his allegations never disappeared, many felt that Nishi has gotten off far too easily, given his long history of abusive behavior and everything he was accused of. This next individual, however, is another creator whose game never got finished once people learned about the sickening things that he actually did.
Back in 2022, he got into contact with him and started sending NSFW images and videos to him.
Now, fan games have always been a big part of the Five Nights at Freddy's community, with some of them gaining almost as much recognition as the main series itself. And for a while, Night Shift, a Five Nights at Freddy's inspired game, looked like it could be one of those projects. With several people involved in its development, as well as many fans looking forward to its release, the game was beginning to look like one of the next big projects within the community. But despite that, it would come to an abrupt end, as behind the scenes, things weren't quite as they seemed. On August 5th, 2022, a 13-year-old user named JenPen began talking to Xyler Guy, who was Night Shift's main developer, after responding to a message he sent in a Discord server they were in. At the time, Xyler was well over 18, according to a friend we'll discuss later. However, despite that age gap, in one conversation, Xyler would send Jen a video that seemed normal at first, but moments later, it would begin flashing images of explicit material, such as inappropriate depictions of drawings of small humans, as well as suggestive and NSFW images. And Xyler didn't just send these types of images once either. Over the course of a few weeks, while already knowing that Jen was a little person due to his age being displayed in his bio, he would continue to send unsettling content he called memes, which included even sensitive imagery depicting men. Now eventually, Xyler would descend into sharing even more sickening material, which was highly inappropriate content involving, again, little humans. As Jen would describe it,
in total there were 2 images of with their private parts, and one which was the most disgusting picture that I've ever seen in my life.
He went on to explain that what Xyler sent to him contained 2 images. One of the pictures, according to him, showed 3 small humans engaging in activities that were horribly obscene. Now surprisingly, Xyler wasn't the only disturbing person in the team. His friend named Blue was the co-director and main programmer of Night Shift, and he was caught talking inappropriately with a small human too, while possessing and distributing extremely indecent images of small humans. After gathering all of this evidence, Jen would finally reveal all of what they did to the entire internet. And in 2023, they uploaded a post containing a document on the gaming site GameJolt, which would lead to Xyler and Blue disappearing from the internet until now. But what this next person did was so severe that it horrified the entire community.
And it's that he's inspired an entire community of animal abusers to murder their cats on YouTube and post videos of it. It spawned
What? Bro. First of all, once you get Charlie's attention, you know it's up for you. You know it's up. It's either up for you or up for you. And if it's up for you, then it's up for you. What I mean by that is it's either up for you or up for you. If it's negative, it's up for you. You're done. You're done. You're like, you might as well just go ahead and leave the internet. If it's positive, then you're up. You're up. You're up and you're up. You're up. You got an opportunity to capitalize. Keep his attention. If it's positive.
An entire trend.
It's September 11th, 2014. Mattia Vera Oyarzo, a 8-year-old boy from Chile, has just made his YouTube channel named Peluchin Entertainment, with his channel name meaning plushie in Spanish. He starts uploading videos with his collection of Disney and Teletubby plushies as characters. But about a year later, his content would suddenly change. The innocent, kid-friendly videos he uploads turn into crude animations, and before long, his channel is almost entirely dedicated to covering the Five Nights at Freddy's series. Now he continues to make these videos for over 3 years, and the videos in total would garner over 12 million views and gain him a substantial number of subscribers. Around this time, however, a lot of horrible things would start appearing, not just on his channel, but affecting him personally as well. In one instance, he admits to his audience that he frequently watches and laughs at gore videos at such a young age, and he also becomes more and more socially dysfunctional, intentionally getting into conflicts with other creators for no reason other than to stir up drama, which would eventually result in strikes to his channel, as his recent videos at the time technically qualify as cyberbullying and harassment to YouTube, and eventually his behavior would even get worse. In November of 2018, for example, Matthias uploads a now deleted alarming video on his channel titled Tortazo, which translates to smack, showing him with his head blurred out, violently grabbing his cat by its limbs and fur. Community sources also say that the annotations about what he's saying in Spanish start appearing at this time, with him saying,
"Before I killed my cat had 2 broken limbs."
He then continues to shove his cat around on the ground and steps on it, with annotations appearing again saying,
"My cat now has a wounded tail. It's a little bit dislodged too."
He then kicks it onto the couch, grabs a wooden kitchen spoon to whack him before the video ends. And soon after, he would also upload other videos showing him hurting the cat with cat food and putting
He's such a cute kitty.
him in a toilet. While his toxic behavior has already been escalating for months before this, the backlash he's been getting up until now pales in comparison to the outrage this video brings. Although the video is now deleted, he would respond to the accusations of animal abuse in a pinned comment, which when translated reads,
"Seriously, there are animals who are saying that this is animal abuse. What an exaggeration. Ha ha ha. I don't know what's going on through their minds to consider this animal abuse."
Now what's even worse is that just a few days later, Matthias claims on his channel that the cat had passed away because of natural causes. Now the video would spread online
Ain't no
and
natural
almost
causes.
immediately across various online forums, which ultimately led to him being doxxed, as some wanted to see revenge on the cat's behalf. A hashtag would even start circling around called #JustinForJason, which was the cat's name, and multiple change.org petitions would be created to terminate Matthias' channel and call for legal actions against him. Unfortunately, Jason the cat isn't the only animal who fell victim to him. On December 15th, Matthias adopts 2 new kittens and would proceed to do the same.
Who's letting him? Who's letting
Sickening things with them, as he did to his original cat. On one particularly gruesome video, he would record himself dropping one of the kittens into a toilet and washing it and watching it struggle. Now several English-speaking creators would begin exposing the situation to a much larger audience, and he would then upload now deleted tweets where he says,
"I don't know who's been telling you that I regret what I did or that I feel bad about my cat dying. To me, it's worth nothing. Besides, I haven't done anything to it, and I regret absolutely nothing."
Thankfully, as more attention grew on Matthias'
He's bad.
actions, an acquaintance would finally step in to save the cats, posting a picture of them on Facebook with this message.
"The cats are away from Matthias. As the only that knew where they were, I went to fetch them, and right now they're under the care of my family, while we look for people who will give them an appropriate place. Soon we'll speak to an animal rights advocate to promote their adoption."
At the same time, people online would also reach out to the police, who later released a statement on Matthias' case, saying,
"We informed the prosecutor's office regarding these occurrences, which ordered certain procedures that included an investigative process, such as putting together witness reports to establish the identity of this person, his parents, and how the events occurred."
Just a few months later, more of his actions would start coming to light.
This first one I believe you've probably heard of a couple years ago because it was kind of big news. The channel's called Pollution Entertainment. I believe it was run by
So did he go to jail? Like what happened?
Year-old Spanish-speaking YouTuber who filmed multiple videos where he was beating, kicking, pulling, throwing his cat against the wall until he eventually killed it on camera. He then adopted some kittens which he flushed down a toilet trying to drown them and beat them as well, and it became kind of a big deal, at least in the Spanish-speaking YouTube community.
In August of 2020, almost 2 years later, after he took the life of his first cat, Moist Critical would bring attention to the story once more, highlighting the fact that in the wake of the original story, several other Spanish-speaking channels would begin assaulting and ending the lives of their cats in the name of Matthias.
But he's also inspired a trend among Spanish-speaking YouTubers where they go out and beat and kill cats in his honor. For some reason,
that is wild. Why would you do that? Why was it like do animals mean nothing in Spanish speaking places? I don't know. I would imagine it's the same everywhere around the world, that people love their animals and wouldn't do this to their pets. Like, you wouldn't do this to your companions. Why would this even be a conversation?
This deranged loser has become some hero to animal abusers online.
Now, thankfully, as Moist Critical's video gained more attention over time, the majority of Matthias' many YouTube channels were terminated a month later. However, on November 17th,
yeah, we ain't playing that. Not on big YouTube. We ain't doing
2021, Matthias, on yet another account he had created, would suddenly upload a video titled, "This November 25th, I will be sentenced. Will it be my end?" The video opens with a short clip taken from the footage of him, just before he made his cat leave this world. He then says it was considered one of his most heinous crimes, to the point that 4 police cars were sent to take him into custody, while also confirming that during this time he was being treated by a psychiatrist. Matthias ends the video by directly stating that on November 25th, he can finally be sentenced for the crime he committed 3 years earlier, and just a few days after going to court, he would upload an update on another channel, which would also end up terminated, writing,
"I haven't had a definitive response about the sentence yet, so I'll start uploading videos again. And no, this wasn't an invention of mine. Lying about judicial matters is a crime. It's obvious that I wouldn't lie about that. I'll let you know when I receive a definite response."
And with his new channel named Matthias, now active on YouTube, he continues to create and upload content from time to time, which is crazy to think about. And while opinions remain divided,
that is crazy to think about. He got no repercussions. Like, what?
Over whether he deserved to still have a platform or not, the name he built for himself was something that will never be erased.
That's wild, bro. Appreciate y'all. If you made it this far in the video, you know you'll go for real. And yeah, appreciate y'all for coming through and watching the content. And see you next time.